comes to crypto, we cannot really say it gets adopted as UPI, but the need for people to use it at a mass consumption, as a mass revolution, that will definitely happen. Currency is an equivalent of a Bitcoin or a crypto, but it needs a trust factor. In the venture capital industry, right? Investments are happening through cryptocurrency. Adoption at certain level is already out there. And with respect to India, the adoption needs to evolve so much. All of us can be the end user of crypto.
Adoption of new technology is very important. Somehow crypto has become face of blockchain. UPI has become a huge hit in India in terms of transaction across the globe. We adopted the technology, we started transacting with it. Do you think that can happen with crypto as well?
No, I think first and foremost, crypto and UPI needs to look at separately, because what UPI solved is a completely different problem. And crypto, if you look at it, is it going to solve a similar problem like UPI? No, right? So therefore, analogy that you brought in, which is post-COVID, because it has pushed everyone to use UPIs. In fact, it also happened during the demonetization stage, if you recall. Now, there are certain events that pulled the UPI to do this. When it comes to crypto, the fact at which it will get adapted like UPI might not happen very soon, but the crypto or the exchanges, that is, we're talking about a blockchain as a technology and the exchanges that build on a blockchain and the crypto's adoption, we cannot really say it gets adopted as UPI, but the usage of it, at the same time, the need for people to use it at a mass consumption, as a mass revolution, that will definitely happen when in India, from a policy standpoint, if it becomes much easier for crypto companies to operate in India. So first, that needs to happen. I think that will keep evolving, and we all see that policies keep evolving. And if that happens, I think this uptake is going to be phenomenal.
We don't have any Indian version of any crypto. So how it's going to be a people's currency?
Let me take an example of a digital gold. Now, there is, obviously everyone knows that a gold is also equal to currency, right? So there is so much of a trust factor there. So now we talk about crypto or Bitcoins is equivalent to currency. The trust factor will come in when the entire ecosystem and when all governments also supports and elevates it. Demonetization was influenced by the government. COVID, government said, make sure that you make the distancing and make sure that you don't touch it. Gold, regulated by the government. So the trust factor is the key here. While we know currency is an equivalent of a Bitcoin or a crypto, but it needs a trust factor, which is where it requires the tweaking. It requires how all of this policy will evolve. The point that you brought in is we need to have something like a Made in India crypto. So for that to happen, the policies will evolve and that support system needs to come into the picture. So the trust factor comes into the picture.
But gold is still an instrument of investment, not a transaction.
But still it is equivalent to currency. What I'm not looking that as an asset, or it's not, I'm trying to bring in a comparison of the trust factor, because it is always equivalent to currency.
Who is the end user of crypto?
All of us can be the end user of crypto. I can give you an example, right? 2014 was first Bitcoins I purchased in ZepPay. And you can trade ZepPay, like how you trade stocks and, on the stock exchange, how you buy shares and sell. So I was doing that on a ZepPay exchange those days. And you put in money. After a few days, obviously, it gone up. And then I exchanged the money. And then I purchased something that in the real world, right? So the end user who believes, all right, keeping these Bitcoins are better for me, not just only from a perspective of asset, also from a perspective of exchanging currency, right? But what I did those days, I had to sell my Bitcoins, get the currency in Indian rupees. But imagine a day, or imagine sort of a scenario where I don't need to exchange that for a currency. I can use the Bitcoin itself to pay. So it's the end user is always a common man.
So that brings to another question. I mean, nothing, grows in isolation. Crypto is one part of a whole blockchain thing, though it has become face of it. It will only grow when adoption of blockchain becomes so wide across sector, right?
That's right. In fact, in the venture capital industry, right, investments are happening through cryptocurrency. Now, the cryptocurrency, people are raising like $1 million, investment for the company, and they're raising the money in the form of cryptocurrency. So, if you see that adoption at what level, at certain level is already out there, and certain geographies in the world. And with respect to India, if you talk about it, the adoption needs to evolve so much. If this needs to adopt, the usage of it will only be, in India, like a large country, 150 crore population, we're talking about 1.5 billion people. And now in such a country, if it needs to take a mass adoption, that mass adoption can only happen with a trust factor that comes into the picture. When government gets into sort of, all right, this is it, recognize it. Now you can use it for exchanging, or if you need it for purchasing this, this is equivalent to this, then you can do that. This is equivalent to this, is already there, exchanges are defining it. But when government says that no, you can start use it, you can start to use it, I think that's when the adoption will start.
Blockchain is a technology through which you're minting or mining crypto. Blockchain as a technology, how it will grow in India and what are those sectors?
Exactly. Now that's a very interesting question. When you ask about the adoption of blockchain as a technology in India for building products outside of the crypto, that is there. That's already happening. A lot of Indian entrepreneurs and a lot of the usage of the blockchain for example, I can give you an example of how today exports can be tracked. Right? Say today you make a jute bag. Right? Say somebody makes a jute bag in a northeast region. That can be blockchain with a certain code, and that can be tracked. So the usage of the blockchain across the industry in building the technology, even in the sector like logistics, is already out there. So what is the status at which India in terms of the blockchain adoption today as a technology for building products, for building solutions? We're already doing it. Not just in India, our Indian entrepreneurs outside of India, they're also doing it. If I probably I don't have the exact numbers, but definitely India as a community, we are one of the top 2 communities in the world as blockchain entrepreneurs.
So India as a country becomes very fascinating when it comes to numbers. Share your population number, consumers. So everybody, right from the investor to somebody who's launching a product, sees India as a huge market. But how do we make our demography or population our capital through which we do the innovation?
No, it's not about. I get what you're trying to say, but to the point at which, because we are talking about a crypto, we're talking about a blockchain, AI, some of these, as you mentioned, we are adopting something and then using it and building on top of it. I agree to that fact, but there are also certain elements, maybe in the future, we never know, we will probably come out and build our own, technology or frameworks. But as a country, if you look at it, I would love to see that happen, very soon. But there are other ways there we also do outside of the technology. There are other things, a lot of other things which we have actually, we ourselves have created and made it available for the world. I'm very hopeful in that manner. I think we will be able to obviously create something from the ground up, because there is so much that's going to happen.
Thank you so much.